Good evening.
I'm jacked up right now.
I'm trying not to yell because, somebody's sleeping a couple rooms over. What's up, everybody? It's No One Asked Us. He's Craig. I'm Logan, coming into you live after the Illini win in Vegas over UCLA. What a night. What a night in Vegas. 79-70 was the final score. We're going to talk all about it. We weren't going to go live. At halftime, the plan was just to do a quick little record session and go to bed. But I think we're both pretty jacked up now, so it's hard to, even fathom that. So, we're here to talk about it. Illinois with the big win in Las Vegas at the main event, the Continental Tire main event, 79-70 over UCLA. Lots to talk about from this game. Craig, opening thoughts. Where are you at? You're a little jacked up, obviously, as you should be.
Dude.
Hey, man. What can you say? This team might be for real.
Out of nowhere, too. That's the best part. They were left for dead.
Yeah.
They were down and out on the mat.
Yeah.
No pun intended, being in Vegas. But holy smokes, was that a fun second half.
Yeah, the first half
I really don't have a lot to say, so I don't know what's going to happen here. But
we'll try to do our best to kind of gather our thoughts. I apologize if this is a little off the wall, but it's midnight Eastern time, and we're both a little loopy, and that was just the craziest 40 minutes I've seen in a while on the basketball court. So let's get into this thing. As I said, Illinois beats UCLA. What were they ranked? Number 8 ranked UCLA.
8.
Illinois was 19 prior to this game. 79-70 was the final score. We'll go over the stats here to start. The big night, obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., 29 points, 10 rebounds. He was 8 for 9 from three-point range. Incredible night. I know a lot of the talk around the program and around the fan base and around the media has been, why is he not on mock drafts? I think tonight he has shown why he should be on mock drafts. Terrence Shannon, as we said in our show on Monday night, is the best guard in the Big Ten, bar none. He proved it tonight. This wasn't Eastern Illinois or Kansas City or Monmouth that he put up 29 points against. This is UCLA. This is a top 10 team, the best team out west, a veteran team, and he lit them up for 29 points. Second leading scorer, Dane Danger, coming off the bench again, 6 for 6 from the field, 13 points for him. No double-double, though, only 3 rebounds for Dane Danger, not Danger. We'll get into that later. Matthew Meyer, welcome to the show, Matthew Meyer. 11 points tonight. He scored 7 early, and then he kind of went non-existent for a while. But 11 points from him, finally in double figures for the transfer from Baylor. And then Sky Clark got into double figures at the end with a 3 to be the 4th Illini scorer in double figures. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? This was just nuts. I mean, I think there's lots we can talk about. There was some bad things. We'll talk about some of the negatives too. We'll get there in a little bit. But I think we just got to ride high on the positives. Anything that sticks out to you from the stat department before we get into some of the nuts and bolts of these things?
Not really. UCLA shot 38% from the field. That was a huge reason why Illinois came out on the winning side of this. I just can't get over the flip of the switch. I mean, down 15 with 17 minutes left, and next thing you know, they put the press on, they bring in some guys to bring some energy, and next thing you know, it's a 3-point game.
Yep.
And then, like so often happens, not necessarily just with Illinois, but with every team that fights so hard to come back, you get to that 3 points, and then it all just kind of dies, and it gets back to 10. And they just put the clamps on UCLA and continued to grow that lead. It was incredible. Incredible.
We haven't seen this team. Well, we haven't seen this team play like that at all because this is pretty much a new team. But just to see Illinois basketball in general play like this is pretty exciting. The big story I think I think here, outside of the Terrence Shannon thing, was this turnaround in the second half. Sincere Harris did not play a second in the first half, I don't believe. Came in a couple minutes.
That he did not.
He did not play in the first half. He came in a couple minutes into the second half and immediately disrupted the flow of the UCLA offense. Got 2 back-to-back steals, or was involved in 2 back-to-back steals that led to 2 back-to-back buckets. They then had a third steal that eventually they turned that over right away. But that was a pretty wild and crazy, about 30 seconds of game time right after Sincere Harris came in the game. And then he was huge. He didn't do much offensively. He did score 4 points, but he did have 2 steals. So the stats won't really show it. But Sincere Harris was absolutely huge tonight. I think that turnaround in the second half. I put this on Twitter. I think I deleted it because I didn't really love that I said it at the time. But there was a point in the first half where I said, if Illinois loses this game, it won't be because, or it'll be, no, if Illinois wins this game, it'll be because UCLA lost this game. Yes. And I don't want to say that that's how it worked, because Illinois played really freaking well in the second half. But as you mentioned, UCLA shot the ball poorly. A lot of that was great defense. Obviously, we need to credit the defense here. But UCLA shot the ball poorly. That's no question. Let's get into some of our keys from this game. The first thing, the defense. Early on, I think the defense was strong too. It wasn't just in the second half. I think the defense was fairly strong throughout the game. Now, it kind of broke down early on in the first half, or about halfway through the first half, when they really started that 2-man offense. When UCLA was just basically going between Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez, they were switching off, and Illinois couldn't stop it. Illinois consistently left Tiger Campbell wide open for threes. Now, he didn't make that many of them, but that little 2-man action they were doing, Illinois couldn't switch on it. They couldn't figure it out. They left one of the 2 wide open several times, and that's really where the first half went downhill. But other than that, maybe 10 or so minutes where they couldn't figure out that switch, I think the defense was phenomenal tonight. I really do.
Yeah. Early on, I don't even want to say his name, Fran Fraschilla, early on kept talking about the 2-man game UCLA was running. The 2-man game was really, really working. And it was at halftime. Jaquez and Tiger Campbell were just dissecting Illinois' defense.
That was it.
That was it. That's all UCLA had in the first half. And I didn't see anything changing in the second half until it did.
Yeah.
Until it did. And they brought in Sincere Harris, and they put the press on with Coleman Hawkins up top, and it just started turnover after turnover after turnover. Illinois ended with 21 turnovers, UCLA with 15 turnovers. I think Illinois had 13 or 16 in the first half, and they ended with 21. So
13. It was 13 in the first half.
Yeah, so 8 in the second half, which is that's still not great, but much better than 13. So, it just flipped the switch. And it all started with Sincere Harris, who I think is next up on our keys. No.
Yeah, that was the second key.
Well,
was those second half adjustments, as you just said. The way that they were able to, because as you talked about, they were dead. They were dead in the water. They could not figure out that 2-man game. We're talking, UCLA has 2 of the most experienced players in the country. And they were lighting Illinois up. They couldn't figure it out. They were taking advantage of the freshman point guards. And they went into the locker room. They changed some things up. He brought in Sincere Harris a couple minutes in, and everything changed from that moment on. I don't know the exact number, but the point where Sincere Harris came into the game, I mean, that was honestly that's where everything turned. Sincere Harris, in terms of plus minus, was the team leader tonight in plus minus. He was 16. Him and Matthew Meyer, incidentally, were tied for 16 in the plus minus. So just a night, man. Just a night. Sincere Harris was absolutely huge. I mean, he, as I said, didn't do a lot offensively, but just that adjustment they made to put him in there, and the energy he brought that's all they needed.
You know what we did get, though? We got a Sincere Harris dunk.
Was it a dunk? He kind of laid it up once he got there.
We got someone in the chat for you. Did you see that?
Yeah, I see. My mother's in the chat. Hello, Dawn. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming. All right, the third key we've already talked about Sincere
Yeah.
Harris a little bit. But I think the freshmen. I think the freshmen tonight were huge, and they're still making some freshman mistakes. Sky Clark is still, at times can be chaotic a little bit, but I think the freshman played well. We've already talked about Sincere Harris and what he did on the defensive end. Sky Clark, 10 points tonight, 5 rebounds for him. Nice night for Sky Clark.
You know how many of those were in the second half?
All of his points.
All of his points and 3 of his 5 rebounds were in the second half.
Yeah. Much better.
And he played 17 minutes in the second half.
Yeah. Jaden Epps also had 4 points and 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Not much from Ty Rogers, but still, the freshmen look good.
I feel like Jaden Epps could be up for our everyday guy of the game, but he didn't do a whole lot. I just feel like he was in the right place. He was making the right plays, but his stat sheet does not show that he had a very good game. But I feel like he was playing smart tonight.
Yeah, I think that same thing can apply for somebody else that we'll talk about here shortly as well. Real quick, anything in the chat that we want to bring up? I know that a couple people are in here.
This is a good point, and it was talked about in our group chat as well. RJ Melendez disappeared in the second half when the comeback happened until the last 30 seconds when they wanted free throws.
There's several guys on this team that can score and that can do things. So it kind of takes the pressure off of it, but that's not what you want. Yeah. The comment from Brant that Ty Rogers, RJ Melendez, and Coleman Hawkins combining for 8 points and we still won. Pretty impressive. We
touched on all offseason
about the Coleman part. I mean, Coleman. Yeah, we'll get to Coleman in a minute, but I mean that's obviously that's nice. It's also nice when you have somebody that can go off for 29 points. Because not everybody's gonna have that luxury of somebody that can do the things that Terrence Shannon did tonight.
Yeah. And then one more we'll highlight here, Michael.
Yes. Flying a line.
I don't know about that.
They like to run. They do like to run. I want to see them fly a little bit.
It's worrisome how bad the half court offense looks at times.
Yeah.
But when they're in rhythm,
I agree.
Completely different.
I think they'll get it together. But early in the season, the half court offense has looked a little chaotic. But hey, they're 4-0 with a huge win against a very, very, very good
top 10 team. We got a lot of people in here. If you will have anything you want to say, get in the chat. We will continue to read those through our show. We're going to talk about a couple more things on our rundown here, but we will get to those later in the show. So keep getting in the chat, like and subscribe if you're here on YouTube as well.
All right, let's go to the everyday guy of the game. You have the obvious one. Let's talk about it.
Terrence Shannon. I mean, I know for our everyday guy of the game, we're not always wanting to pick just the leading point scorer or the guy that played the best. We kind of want to dig deeper into the guy that made the hustle plays, kind of like Jaden Epps, like I was just talking about. But tonight, I think I have to go, since I saw who you picked first, so I had second choice here. I got to go Terrence Shannon. He was a pro tonight. He was a National Basketball Association level player tonight. Draft pick, didn't do much wrong. And that is what this team needs. They need the killer. They need the go-to guy that when you need to make a comeback, you can go to him and he's going to do the right thing. And that's exactly what he did. He was phenomenal tonight. And a good point Fran made. Do you know what time Terrence Shannon Jr. woke up every day this summer? Did you?
Did
you know he woke up at 4:30 every morning to shoot 1,000 shots?
So much. We're going to hear that so often this year. It's going to be just as bad as Nick Smith, the tallest player in Illinois basketball history. I will never forget that from that season.
No, the worst one is the Mike Tisdale diet. Every game, you had to hear how many calories Mike Tisdale was eating.
Yeah, we're going to hear so much about Terrence Shannon wake up time.
The good point that Fran did make was that's what the NBA scouts told him he needed to work on. So that's what he did, and it is paying off. Because he hit 8 threes tonight, tied the program record.
Yeah.
which I think someone actually put in the chat. So let's give you props to that.
Yep.
Michael.
He
Tied
did
single
some
game record
things.
for threes with 8. So that's my everyday guy. I know it's the obvious one, but when you play like he did, you have to give him some recognition.
Yep. And I'll highlight a player we've already talked about, but Sincere Harris didn't light it up in the stat sheet necessarily, but was an absolute spark plug. From the moment he stepped on the court with the 18 whatever mark in the second half, was just an absolute menace on the defensive end. Really frazzled the UCLA veterans. I mean, he got in there and got right up in Tiger Campbell's face a couple times and
offensive
just took
foul
the
on him
ball
once.
right out of the hand. Yeah, drew the offensive foul on him. He was just an absolute nuisance. So love to see that. Kind of one of those situations where he didn't really see the floor in the first half, wasn't really sure if he was probably going to see the floor at all. And, Brad decided to go to him and he proved his worth. So a huge game for Sincere Harris. So he's obviously my choice for that. Let's talk about some of the good and the bad.
Before we get to good and bad, we got a comment here from Mark Jess. If you're still in here, can you give us an idea of what was happening? Obviously, we're not watching it and don't know.
Yes, please fill us in.
Is he less than thrilled with his team's play, with the officiating? I'm very curious what he could be less than thrilled with. But speaking of Mick Cronin, you know how I know he's a loser?
Why is that?
He still wears a suit when he coaches.
I knew you were going to say this.
I mean,
there's not very many.
What kind of guy does that?
There's
many. That's so 2020.
There's some of that going on in Bloomington too. I'm sure we'll talk about it later.
Those are the only two that I can think of.
Yeah, there's not very many.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the good and the bad. You want to start? You want me to start?
I can start. You're running the show here.
Okay, great.
I don't know if any of you watching this are in Las Vegas, but if you are, bravo! Give yourself a round of applause because they said it multiple times on the broadcast. All of the pictures that I saw on social media was just a sea of orange in Las Vegas. Now, I know Virginia's orange as well, so some of those were probably Virginia, but Illinois had a home game on a neutral court on the West Coast tonight, and that's phenomenal. I just love that. If I could have picked any basketball trip or football trip, if I could have picked any sporting event trip to go to in the last 4 years, it would probably be this weekend.
Yeah.
Tickets were just way too expensive. I couldn't afford it. There's no freaking way. But bravo to Illini Nation. You all are the best. We love every single one of you. Cheer louder on Sunday, and let's go 2-0 this weekend. That is my good. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And a win on top of that obviously helps.
Yeah, obviously it does. All right, what's your bad?
Well, the one I wrote down didn't turn out to be so bad. So
I agree. At one point it was bad.
But. Yes. At halftime I wrote down Coleman Hawkins, but then he went and totally redeemed himself playing the top of the press. So let me look here because this has been a trend. Let me see. Okay, it wasn't terrible. I was going to say free throw shooting, but it wasn't terrible. I really don't know because mine obviously flipped the switch and is no longer a bad. So I don't know. RJ Melendez maybe?
Yeah, I mean
I can't think of anything.
You need more out of him. I'll talk about the bad minute. My good, I think, is Matthew Meyer. We've been waiting for him to break out. He didn't have a huge
21 turnovers
necessarily.
There we go. Brant. Thanks for the assist. Well, that's my bad.
Yeah,
turnovers.
I was going to do that as well.
Sorry.
It's fine. The bad is obviously
I told you I'm frazzled.
The bad is absolutely the turnovers. 21 turnovers. If UCLA did not shoot as poorly as they did, Illinois probably would have lost this game because of that number. That's besides the point. Because they won. Matthew Meyer, we've been waiting on it. He didn't show up for the first 3 games. We're wondering if he was gonna kind of have a coming out party. Not necessarily this was a coming out party. He didn't fill up the stat sheet necessarily, but 11 points, hit 2 threes, 3 for 4 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Pretty good day. We've been waiting on him to contribute a little bit. Wondering when he was going to do that. He did play 23 minutes, which is that a season high for him? I would think. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but they're
Yes, because
slowly,
I know he didn't hit 20 the last two.
yeah, they're slowly working him back into the flow of things, and I think he'll get there. But I think, just aside from the obvious, the Terrence Shannons and the Sincere Harris and all that other stuff, but I think Matthew Meyer deserves a shout out here. And then the turnovers, that's the bad thing. 21 of them, you don't want that. All right, how about the chat? Anything you want to highlight? I see Kane Walters is here. Shout out Kane Walters.
There we go. This is right here. More of the same. Harris coming in and being the one to turn the tide, showing how deep this team is. And that's
ninth man.
Exactly what Logan was concerned about. And I had my concerns as well going into the season was the depth. But as someone else said earlier, when Rogers, RJ, and Hawkins combine for 8 and you still win, it says a lot about the depth. And this is without Luke Goody. So
let me just say my concern about the depth is not necessarily the 9 guys that they have. My concern about the depth is if they lose somebody, like they've already lost one guy.
Yep.
If they lose another player for an extended period of time, that's a concern. That's where my concern is about the depth. It's not about the 9 that are there. I think the 9 that they have right now are great, and it'll be even better when Luke Goody comes back. But yeah, Sincere Harris was the 9th guy off the bench tonight. He did not play until the second half, and he was huge. So yeah, I agree with you, Kane. That was a good point by you. He was huge.
Only other one on Facebook. Don't know if she's still in here. But shout out Kaylee Plotner.
Yes, shout out Kaylee Plotner.
420 every morning. 420. Getting up 1,000 shots.
420. We're gonna hear that all.
Oh, here she is, right here.
She's back. Yes, date. We're gonna hear all that all season long. Yes. How many times you're gonna hear them mispronounce danger and talk about him eating every meal with Adam Fletcher? I think we're gonna hear that a lot.
That actually was my bad. I did have Coleman Hawkins is my bad for the night, and then under it I put also Fran Fraschilla because he was awful the entire game. He was
annoying. Fran is good at certain things about his job. But tonight he was pretty awful and pretty annoying.
He said danger. He said
danger nearly every time.
And there was another way he said it that wasn't right. And then he called Jaden Epps Jalen Epps. And then I'm pretty sure he was wrong on the Terrence Shannon not being recruited out of high school thing.
I hadn't heard that before.
That can't be right.
I hadn't heard that before.
I'm going to see if I can find that because I forgot about that till just now.
Okay, I hadn't heard that, so he was informing me of something. I can't imagine that
being true.
All right. Anything else from this game you want to talk about? Anybody else out there have any things you want to chime in on? We will get to. I see somebody's asking about the next game. We will get to the Virginia game here in a second. That is the game on Sunday. Somebody asked, what does RJ need to change? Did you see that comment?
Yep, I did. You are right. Brant, again. Thanks for getting in here, Brant.
I think a lot of these guys are figuring out what their role is on this team. And now it's weird to think about RJ being in that situation because he's one of the very few returners. But I think when you have such a new roster and everybody is trying to figure out what their role is, I think that's what everyone's going through, RJ included. I think, they referred to him on the broadcast as a sharpshooter at one point. I don't know that I would call him a sharpshooter. I think he is one of our probably most consistent 3-point shooters when the season's over. But I wouldn't necessarily call him a sharpshooter. I don't know that he needs to change anything. I just think he's trying to figure out what his role is and, just try to be a little more consistent, figure out how he's going to mold with everybody else. Because this is a whole new world for all these guys, even the ones still here.
Yeah. My thought with RJ is, he was expected to be a leader and a top scorer this season, but that was solely based on the fact that he was one of 3 players returning. He didn't do a whole lot last year. We haven't seen a whole lot from RJ aside from 2 or 3 games in March of last season. So I think there's still work to do. Still work to do with RJ.
I'm glad that this was brought up. My mom actually just brought this up because my dad had made it. I heard it too. at the
Yep.
6-minute
I
mark,
almost
Fran
tweeted it.
said it's
I
over.
almost tweeted
And
it.
I thought, are you freaking kidding me? Like,
Yep.
no, this can fall apart. I mean, he ended up being right, so good for him. But like, what? What was
Yep.
that
Yep.
about?
Yep.
I caught it too. Yes, point Tim. That was accurate.
Yep. And
Um,
then this, I did just look this up. So Shannon not being recruited has to be wrong. He said he had a relationship with Underwood coming out of high school. That's why he ended up at Illinois. So what I found on 24/7 is that his first offer was in April of 2018, and he was a class of 2019 at IMG. So out of his high school career in Chicago, he did not get an offer until after he was done in Chicago. I don't think IMG is a prep school, is it?
I thought it was
Is it a prep school?
no.
Either way,
I don't
he didn't
think
get his
so.
first offers till after he left Chicago,
Okay. Yeah,
according
I'm
to
not sure.
24/7. So
I'm not
maybe
sure.
that's what they're talking about. I didn't think IMG was a prep school. I thought it was a regular 4-year school, unlike what Zach Perrine's doing. But that's what 24/7 has. One more
Have I ever
question,
told
then
you?
we'll
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Well, one
No,
more
go ahead.
question, then we'll get to what's coming up. How do you think Epps played tonight? 1 of 6 field goals. I said this earlier. I thought he was the epitome of make the right play or right place, right time tonight. No, he didn't score a ton, but I feel like he was always around the ball. He played really good defense a couple times on Tiger Campbell that I noticed, and got a hand in his face on some pull-up jumpers in the lane. So he was more of a Ty Rodgers tonight, I feel like, where they don't stuff the stat sheet, but they play the right way and don't hurt the team. What was his plus minus? He was actually negative in plus minus.
Yeah,
So,
-5.
I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like he played a pretty good game. He just didn't shoot the ball well. I don't know how you feel.
I think you're right. I think my general feel for this team is that there's enough guys on this team that can step up and contribute on a nightly
Mm-hmm.
basis. And as long as 3 to 4 of them do, 3 to 4 of the 9 can, contribute, a whole helping of points and everything else. Like, I think there's enough bodies here. You don't need everybody to have their best night on the floor every single time to win these games, but you prove it tonight against a really good UCLA team that, a couple of your better players hardly showed up points wise, and you still put up, this many points and beat UCLA. So, all right, let's move on to Sunday. Illinois now plays in the championship game of this tournament out in Vegas. I don't think I saw that coming. Did you see this coming?
No, I said before we got on here live, I said I expected the championship game to be the third place game and the third place game to be the championship game.
Yeah. And that's what we got. So earlier, the game before Illinois and UCLA, Virginia beat Baylor 86-79. Now, all 4 of these teams were ranked coming into this. All 4 of them were in the top 20 in the AP poll coming into this weekend. So it's not like there was really any huge upsets here. But Virginia was the 16th ranked team. They did beat Baylor 86-79. Baylor was top 5 at the time. So big win for Virginia coming off. We haven't talked about it, and there was obviously a lot of tragedy on that campus this past week involving some football players. So obviously thoughts out to those affected in that campus and everything. But they've clearly, as a basketball team, rallied tonight, and I'm sure they'll be playing with the same type of heart on Sunday. So that's certainly a factor. But they look good against Baylor. I'm not really sure what to think about Baylor, but we don't have to worry about them anymore. So Virginia was obviously the better team. So that's who we got on Sunday. Going into this weekend, I would have said that I thought the best chance Illinois had to win a game was against Virginia. So no, I mean they get them. So we'll see. You can't rely on Terrence Shannon to put up 29 points every single night. While I just literally just said, like, there are other guys that can do this, and as long as a few of them are contributing, like, you can win these games. And I think that's obviously true, but you can't count on him to do that every night. So you're going to need to continue to get production from other guys. But if they can keep showing that same defensive tenacity. If Sincere Harris can do the same things he was doing, I mean, I think Illinois has got a pretty good chance to win this thing on Sunday. It would not shock me at all. Would not shock me at all.
No, I think it'll be a toss-up. I really do. Virginia is a sound basketball team. They
always are.
They play the right way on both ends of the court. They shot 55.6% tonight from the field. Not from two, from the field. They shot 64.3% from three. Now, they only took 14 of them, but they made 9. They were 9 of 14 from three. And 77% free throw line. They're not going to miss their free throws. They're going to play smart, slow you down defense. Or, defense and offense. So to score 86 points, that is like scoring 150 for a regular team for Virginia. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be a grind. Before tonight, I would have probably picked Illinois. But after the way Virginia played, I think Virginia probably wins, but I'll be happy with that. I just wanted one win this weekend. Got it. A loss to Virginia will still be ranked. Illinois will still be ranked come Monday. And will have passed the test in my eyes. I don't foresee another Virginia 86-point outburst, but it's going to be a grind, and you're going to have to come to play because Virginia is not going to make mistakes. They're not going to beat themselves, like you tweeted earlier in this game. If Illinois wins this game, it's not because Illinois won; it's because UCLA lost. Virginia's not going to do that. Virginia's not going to lose the game, so you have to go win it.
Yep. We'll see. It's going to be a fun one. So that tip-off will be at noon locally in Vegas, which will be 2 o'clock for you, all of you in Central Time Zone, and 3 o'clock for us in the Eastern Time Zone. So that'll be on Sunday. That's the first game of the doubleheader.
Yes.
Baylor and UCLA will play in the second game. So
I believe it's on ESPN. Is that correct?
It's a good question. I think so. I think the championship game is supposed to be on ESPN.
Mothership. It is. Both games are on ESPN.
Yeah, great. So yeah, that'll be on ESPN. 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Real quick, around the rest of the country in terms of basketball scores, Indiana went to Xavier and won by a couple points, 81-79. So big win for them on the road. The other one that I wanted to point out of note, Michigan State, man. Michigan State is legit.
Oh, I was not. Score.
Michigan State beat Villanova tonight in East Lansing, 73-71. Now, neither of
Michigan
those teams
State's good.
They're going to be top four in the Big Ten. Neither of those teams were ranked going into this game, but Michigan State has had a season already. They lost by 1 point to Gonzaga in the Armed Forces game on the ship, but then they beat Kentucky and then they beat Villanova. So pretty good start to their season. They're going to be pretty darn good this year. I think that's really all the games of note that we need to mention. Anything else, Craig?
No, I'm tired. I mean, I don't feel tired. It doesn't feel like it's 12:45.
Your body knows you're tired.
Tomorrow I'm going to be hurting.
Yeah. Alrighty, we're going to shut this thing down. If you're still here, thanks for staying up with us. Thanks for hanging on. Thanks for hanging out. This show will be on our YouTube page. You can check it out later. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. All of our Facebook, Twitter. That's even still a thing tomorrow. Who knows? Day to day, apparently. But yeah, all that stuff's on the page, and you know where to find us normally. I think that's going to do it. Anything else from you, Craig?
Let's do it again on Sunday.
Okay. Do it again on Sunday. All right. For Craig, I'm Logan. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Thanks for hanging out.